All right, nerds.
What a nerd.
Nerds.
Nerds.
Nerds! I'm not kissing a nerd.
What is a nerd?
Holy crap, are we nerdy?
Or is it after 9? Well, no, even the West Coast hasn't seen it yet. So,
Welcome, Nerdables, to episode 128. This week, we are going to do our Batman versus Superman review with Ethan and myself, who've seen it, and Mikey, who doesn't give a shit about the movie and knows all of the spoilers already. So,
I think I got to start off and say, I should have joined Mikey in this effort of not wanting to see this movie or not watching this movie.
shouldn't we say spoilers first? This show's going to have a lot of spoilers in it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna
Spoil the shit out
murder
of the
the shit out of this movie.
Okay, so Batman versus Superman: The Dawn of Justice. Ethan, what'd you think of it? Was Mikey right? I know you just kind of went into that, but is that your official review of it?
Yes.
Okay, so last night I saw a meme on Facebook that said, let me go to it real quick. It was actually quite shocking. It says that if you are a comic book reader, it's a damn great, awesome movie. If you're a casual, it's a pretty nice movie. If you're looking for for the Marvel fun, childish formula, maybe it ain't for you.
What is this from?
A meme that somebody put up.
Oh, okay. That's a horrible meme because a comic book reader would not like this.
So
No.
here's what I put.
At least not every single comic book reader.
Here's what I put. Yeah, whoever made this didn't see the movie. And I mean speaking as a comic book reader and a filmmaker. And then this person asked me to explain it. And this is my official review of the movie, and then we'll get into it. The movie is paced very badly. The story is weak with plot holes and poor writing to not only get them to fight, but also to make them stop. The dream vision sets up future films, but instead of letting the last vision be real, they missed a great opportunity. The reveal of the other heroes, not a part of the film, happens at the wrong moment with the wrong person. The film never truly establishes Lex as a genius, just as a spoiled, petulant child. The action is too short. The film has no fun. Superman and Batman are not likable characters, and they have no redeeming qualities. The film tried to put too many things. The film tried to do too many things and fit too many stories into one film. And the end should have totally been its own film. Don't get me wrong, there could have been a good film here, but it would have required a different director and finding a film-making pace more like Marvel style. What I mean is, not throwing all of your stories into one film, using multiple films to set up the big team-up and or Bat and Soup fighting. Which, by the way, only lasted 5 minutes. I'm sorry to DC loyalists, and this is true. I'm sorry to DC loyalists, but this film was not good. And as somebody who reads Batman, and as a fan of Superman, I really wanted this movie to be good.
Well, I think we all really wanted this movie to be good, and that was, part of like what conversation we had driving up to Comic-Con, and we were trying to discuss is that we have a lot of opinions on how these characters are portrayed in this movie, and they just weren't done well in this movie. But previous movies, I think that they were done well. Like Man of Steel, I like that movie still. I loved how Superman is portrayed. It still gives the same feeling that Superman is Superman. In this movie, you don't get that at all. You feel like Superman is more emotionally motivated in his actions rather than making a decision or trying to make the best decision for what's best for Earth and what's best for humans or humankind.
Here's the thing. First of all, I want to say the casting of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, I think, is great. I think Henry Cavill or whatever his name is perfect for Superman. He looks the part. Ben Affleck, I said in the beginning I was scared of Ben Affleck being Batman based off of Daredevil and things like that. Ben Affleck is a great Batman. Gal Gadot was great as Wonder Woman, and that's the one that people were going, oh, she said, I can't believe she. Matter of fact, she was the shining point in this whole movie, and she was only in it roughly maybe 10 minutes at the most, not even 2 minutes as Wonder Woman, and she did a great job as Wonder Woman. The problems with this film are, one, it didn't know if it wanted to be a Batman movie, a Superman movie, or a Justice League movie. Two, the pacing and the writing and the very beginning of it was just so convoluted that it was hard to follow. And that's, I mean, a lot of reviewers have been, or a lot of critics have been saying that too. And I even had one friend tell me, because all you're doing to me is you're telling me exactly what the critics are saying. And I'm like, no, this is my opinion. I didn't even read any of the critic reviews until after I wrote my own.
You didn't?
No.
You didn't read anything beforehand?
Beforehand, nothing.
Even seeing the movie?
Before, it's nothing. I knew the critics didn't like it, but I didn't read what they said.
That'd be hard for me.
Yeah.
Especially a movie that I already know is probably going to be bad. I sort of want to go.
I think it's because you weren't even planning on watching it, so maybe that's why you went more on the fact of wanting to see what other people thought of it. Me, I'm like Rich. I was like, I'm not gonna read anything about it. I don't want to know anything about what other people think because I want to have my own opinion about it.
True, but I'd hope that it wouldn't influence my opinion as much. But
Jeremy Irons.
I'll never know because
Jeremy Irons was good, but Jesse Eisenberg was horrible. I mean, I saw that one critic said after it was so bad that I wanted Batman and Superman to team up and kill him immediately.
maybe that's why he snapped at Comic-Con last year when
Yeah.
the journalists got all in his face.
Now, and I can understand part of what they were doing with him, and this is a big spoiler. Part of one of the things that they were doing with Jesse Eisenberg was that they're setting up the Justice League movie with the fact that Darkseid, however you want to say it. Some people say seed, some people say side. What is it?
I don't understand that, but
What do you always call it?
I always call him Darkseid.
Darkseid.
I've never called him Darkseid.
There's a lot, but you've heard it though.
No, I've heard it. Yeah, it bugs the hell out of me because
Right.
it's not how I say it. So,
Well,
but
see, I even remember back at the Super Friends cartoon when they had him on there one time and they called him Darkseid. I think it was Young Justice or something else that had him on there, called him Darkseid.
yeah.
I think there's some show or cartoon that he was in that they call him Dark Side, or like side, like emphasize the eye
Yeah.
Right.
more.
Well, it's more Middle Eastern. So
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting to the point with that is that Darkseid was obviously sending messages into Lex Luthor's head. You get that towards the end of the movie. But in the beginning of the movie, there's nothing to establish that that's happening. He just comes across as this very petulant child. It's like, look, we're in my, he's with the senator. We're in my daddy's room. I left it exactly the same. But I should have changed this picture because it should have been the other way around, where the demons are coming from the heavens instead of from the ground.
well, would then the way he acts between that point and then when he does he change?
No.
Like at
No,
all?
No.
The entire movie, Lex Luthor seems as he's just some like rich emo kid.
The only thing you see is when he's giving the speech at the party, he's standing there giving this speech and everything, and all of a sudden, mid-speech, he starts speaking, and his sentences are sounding like
he's
me sometimes when I talk on the show.
Mm.
That you're going, what the fuck are you saying?
Like he's forgetting
having
what
a
he's
stroke
saying.
type deal?
Yeah.
It almost like a stroke. And that's the only thing that kind of gives you something else might be going on. But you don't get that connection to that until the very, 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 very end of the movie when Batman comes into his cell.
So he still doesn't act all weird or more serious.
No.
Once he
No.
shaves his
There,
head
there's
or anything
nothing
like
in
that.
this movie that gives the indication that he's a genius, other than the fact that he
Has a lab.
has a lab and a lab jacket.
Yeah.
And then he's smart enough to know the cutoff of Zod's fingertips, so he can use his fingers to access the Kryptonian ship.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing that gives you the idea that he's a genius.
See, the best Lex Luthors that I've come across, with like the ones from the Superman Adventures, like the animated series back in the 90s, or even like Smallville, for example. the best Lex Luthors I've seen were more diabolical rather than, you know, childish
Well,
or
yeah,
psychotic.
I've never liked Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
I mean, he's okay, but
Well, and that's the other thing with this is he acts more like he's the Joker, that jovial psychopath, sociopath, than somebody that is diabolical. That's that
Manipulative.
yeah, that he the best Lex Luthors are the ones that, and we've talked about this before, and Chris has mentioned it too. The best Lex Luthors are the ones that he believes that he's right, that Superman is going to snap or something, or he's got so much power where he could take over the earth. So Lex's twisted thinking is to preempt that. If I stop Superman, then he can't take over the world.
yeah, he's basically like Batman,
Right.
where he has a backup plan. I know how to neutralize any of these metahumans.
Right, but
Or
they left it
aliens or
to
anything like
left it to Batman in this movie to solely be that way, with Lex manipulating him by putting Superman into these situations that one situation he puts him in is you find out that Lois goes to this Middle Eastern terrorist to interview him and everything, and then there's a CIA agent, but Lex has some mercenaries planted there, and stuff goes wrong. Lois gets captured by the terrorist. Superman kills him. He's standing there. He's got a gun to Lois's head and said, "You either stop or I'm going to shoot her." And instead, what would you, if you see Superman in this situation with Lois and somebody holding a gun to her head, what would you think Superman's going to do?
He would have heated up the gun, maybe
What I tell you he
with
should have done?
lasers, or
Yeah, no,
hit his
the
hand,
same
or
thing they were saying.
whatever. Yeah.
What he did was flew faster than sonic speed with the guy through a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Killed the guy.
Lois loosens her grip off the guy's arm so that she doesn't get pulled by the
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
And so that's what the whole thing is. He just swoops in real quick and busts through the wall with the
There's
guy.
no reason to do that for a non-metahuman.
Right.
That's stupid.
And that's exactly what I said to Ethan.
It's overplay.
If-
It's overkill.
And if it was a meta or somebody else, going through a wall is not going to kill them. It's not, taking a human being through a wall at sonic speed is going to kill them. And Superman, most incarnations of Superman, even the 70s one who when Lois dies, flips, turns back the earth to reset time, which was dumb, but he would have. Matter of fact, I think there was even a scene where somebody has a gun and he uses his heat vision to melt the gun, or at least heat it
Or
up
heat it
enough
up to-
where
for
the
the
guy
guy to
drops
drop
it.
it,
Yeah,
Or it would warp enough through
Right.
the...
right. So one of the other things is then later on they get Superman to come before Congress, and Lex has manipulated one of the guys that worked for Wayne Industry or Wayne Financial that lost his legs. So he was manipulating this guy
During
to
the whole battle was, they're showing the aftermath of what happened to Wayne Financial and Metropolis
and Bruce Wayne
and
there.
Bruce Wayne and all while that's happening, you see what Bruce is doing.
Yeah. That's the opening, isn't it?
Yeah,
pretty much the opening, yeah. So they bring this guy back in, and he's in a wheelchair that Lex gives him that's motorized and everything like that, right? And Superman's standing before Congress, and all of a sudden the chair explodes and kills everybody around him. Superman even looks over because they introduce the guy, and as soon as they introduce him, that's when it explodes.
He should have been able to smell explosives on... well, he's not a dog, but...
But if he was fast enough to stop the guy with the gun from killing Lois, wouldn't he have been able to be fast enough to get this guy out of the building?
He should have been able to hear some type of frequency that shouldn't be in there.
Especially since earlier on they've already established that he can hear Batman's
That was one of the...
headsets,
Oh, well, that was...
where he can hear Alfred talking to him over the headset.
Yeah. There was another complaint that I read online that he could hear Lois far away.
Yes.
Her voice help me, Superman, or help me,
From
Clark, or whatever
thousands
the
and
fuck.
thousands of miles away. Yes.
Yet he couldn't hear his mom's voice that he's known forever
Yes.
all the way to save her.
Yeah. Then
So-
yeah, there was a yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that is stupid.
There was a Superman was he ends up having this vision of his father on the top of a mountain with snow around it because he's hiking after the whole explosion with the Senate.
He's reevaluating his life,
And
the
he's
whole
it's
thing.
almost like he's going to the Fortress of Solitude, and he finds his, he sees his dad, a visionary thing like that, and then about the same time, Lex pushes Lois off of a building, and he in Metropolis, and he makes it to her before she falls. So you're right. The whole thing with not hearing his mom, just it's absurd. It's the complaint that Chris has with the Jedi. Sometimes their powers are super strength, and they can do whatever. They can pull a Star Destroyer out of the atmosphere, but they can't take a lightsaber and dismantle it from somebody's hand.
Well, he has that problem with sometimes in the comics with Superman, though. Also,
Sure.
The whole, what is it? I can throw a bus or go through a mountain, but bullets somehow sometimes
Yes.
hurt me or
Yeah.
vice versa.
Batman and Superman in this. Here's the other thing: there was no fun in this movie. I get that they wanted to stay away from Marvel and what they're calling the childish Marvel, comic book type superheroes. But there was no
There was
no
dark.
comic relief in it, and none of the actors except for Wonder Woman seemed like they were having fun. I swear, I don't think that Bruce Wayne / Batman and Clark Kent / Superman smile one time through. Well, actually, I take it back. Superman does when he gets in the bathtub with Lois,
Yeah.
and that was the whole.
Because he's about to get it on.
Yeah.
I would smile too.
That's the only light moment there is with that, and it's just
There's one joke that's made as a comic relief in the entire movie, and it's basically when Doomsday is basically in front of the Batmobile that's dismantled with the hood ripped off, and Batman's just standing there or sitting in the Batmobile, and Doomsday is right in front of him, starting to light up. And
was that Doomsday or Superman? I thought it was
no,
Superman.
it was Doomsday.
Okay,
And
It's the shot that we see in the trailer.
Then
right?
it-
Where
it's the-
comes
it's
out.
the
It's
battle
the
plane.
it's the plane, yeah. Sorry, and basically he just looks and he's like, "Well, shit,"
yeah.
and that's or like, "Oh shit," or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And then that's when Wonder Woman gets introduced with the.
Look,
And they could have saved that for
Yeah.
the actual movie.
there were some really big missed opportunities too. One of my biggest complaints is they did it. They did. You see in the trailers and everything, the whole thing with Batman in the trench coat with the goggles, in a post-apocalyptic Earth, and
Oh, he's in that stuff in his dream sequence.
in a dream sequence. So he's seeing all this stuff, which
Yeah.
Anybody that's read the comic books, can kind of identify with. They had the flying creatures of the apocalypse and
Parademons.
the parademons. They had
I
them.
saw the Omega symbol and
they had the Omega symbol,
okay.
and that's how for me I knew. Okay, I know where they're going with
Yeah.
this, but if when he wakes up for the dream sequence, most people would go, "What the fuck was that? Why was this here?"
Well, that's when you-
because it was the whole thing was supposed to be like he's got the file he steals from Lex that has everything about the metahumans, and he's trying to figure out what this white Portuguese is, and it ends up being a ship. He thinks that Lex is this white Portuguese with this mystic or this
Like a code name for like a drug dealer, or
right.
something.
Oh, okay.
So, but he ends up finding out that it's a ship carrying kryptonite to Lex because he couldn't get Congress to authorize the import of it. So, but he has this dream sequence while it's being decrypted and everything, and then he wakes up from the post-apocalyptic one, and you see Barry Allen the Flash come through the space-time vortex, and he's warning him about Lois is the key. Don't let anything happen to Lois. And then all of a sudden he wakes up again. To me, and then that's when he has the metahuman /
The files are finally
files
decrypted,
open.
and it opens up.
To
Yeah.
me, if they would have left him waking up from the first vision, then you have Barry come through there, or Flash come through there, and he's awake.
But it's a true reality instead of another dream.
Instead of
Yeah.
it being a dream, it would have been more impactful and given you more of a tease to the future plans, and also kind of establish some of the other elements of the universe.
Yeah, it's hard because I read the Easter eggs, and that's an iconic shot in Crisis on
Right.
Infinite Earth, and I don't know if they wanted to add more of that into it. So I know there's supposed to be a Crisis in the TV's
Yes.
side that they've alluded to. They haven't mentioned a Crisis in the cinematic side yet, so they
But
might want to steer clear of that.
But if they would have left it as that actually happening, and then him opening the files, and you see each of those heroes
Yeah.
it would have been more impactful for where they're going with it than later on in the movie, another scene that just kind of cuts you out of what's going on, to have Diana, Wonder Woman, open the files and see each one of them. And they actually have her listed as a metahuman, and they have Cyborg listed as a metahuman, and even Aquaman as a metahuman.
They are and they aren't. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
But to
it's-
have her look at it then just was kind of like it was kind of weird and awkward at that moment, where she's already told Bruce she's looked through the files when she gave them back to him. So if you would have had Bruce look through those files at that time and see each of those characters, instead of you have to imagine that he saw those because we see Diana looking at him. If they would have flipped that right at that scene where he would have had that vision and then Barry coming through, to me it would have made more sense and fit a lot better and been more impactful. I mean, it's nitpicking for the sake of comic books, but it would have worked better to me as far as pacing.
Yeah. It's just a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but one of the bad things is you don't have a lot of action going on until almost the 2 hour and 10-minute mark of the movie. I mean, Batman and Superman
It's
don't
here
fight.
and there towards the beginning, but it's literally, I could say, easily the first hour of the movie, with the exception of when they're first showing what happened during the fight between Zod and Superman. There's no action. It's all like dialogue or.
That's the other crap. I mean, yeah, you're seeing the other point of view,
Yeah.
but it's the same crap that you saw in Man of Steel.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then Batman, who they've established that has been Batman for 20 years. So he's been,
Well, you got to establish his age like
Right.
that, yeah.
So, but now because of
But had he been retired, though?
No,
So they didn't stick with the Dark Knight Returns?
no, they didn't have him retired because he was still, he wasn't doing it
No,
as much.
It made it seem like he was fizzling out, or
Right,
He,
he
was
wasn't
kind of
doing-
like, he was phasing himself out.
Right.
More with
essentially.
Wayne Industries.
Yeah.
He's dealing with his business side.
Yeah.
Exactly. But he was still doing Batman on the side. People of Gotham were still aware of Batman. But, you kind of can piece together that whatever they're going to establish with the Robin, Jason Todd character, because it's obviously Jason Todd that you see, or at least his costume.
That's the costume.
Right.
Now, that could just be him looking at, that's a failure on my part, and they're not going to use Jason Todd.
Right.
Unless because he'd be dead. Or they're going to introduce Hush.
Yes.
So I could see that.
Or what a lot of people are thinking and hoping, because Batman has been around 20 years, which meant that when you look at the Joker in the Suicide
that's true.
Squad, the Joker is very young.
So we're going to take Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker. We're going to make it Jason Todd instead of Tim Drake, and it's not an implant of the Joker.
Right. So, to me, it was kind of like one of those things where you've established that he's been there for 20 years. He's gotten past of acting out in revenge. The way they establish it with the whole, seeing the fight with Zod and everything, his intentions with Superman are revenge. They didn't really do a good job of establishing. They mention it finally that he's got the power of a god. He could destroy us. But it was kind of like he to try to find out who this white Portuguese is. He's now branding people with the symbol of the bat, and
Like literally, he's got a thing that he's branding people.
yeah,
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
And it's just to say, hey, I've already checked this guy type deal.
they didn't really say, but they were
Well-
saying that it was like a death mark because once those guys were arrested, they were getting killed in jail.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's basically anybody, because Batman knows too much about what they gave him or something, so they're killing them in jail.
Batman, I would say he didn't pick up a gun, but he does hold somebody's hand that's got a gun, and ways laced a bunch of people. But
That's the one thing that bothered me is Batman never used guns.
right.
And
But-
in this movie, he uses. I mean, granted, it's not him shooting. Essentially, it's him grabbing the gun of another guy and firing it
As
and
they go in a
shooting
circle.
People.
Yeah.
Like Batman has never used a gun.
It was funny. I don't remember where the hell I read it or heard it, but they were mentioning about Batman the movie, where on the Batmobile there's guns on it.
Yes, but
so
he uses those guns
To like
to
break
go
down
through a
walls.
wall.
No,
and stuff.
yeah.
In this
I know.
movie, and this is where I was going with it in a minute. In this movie, he uses those guns at cars and with people in them and stuff, and kills a bunch of people, and then drives through a wall without using the guns. Because I thought for sure he's going to go through this wall and you fire the guns to go through it. No, he goes right through the wall.
Oh, we've gotten past those types of Batmobiles that don't have tank-like armor that they can
Sure.
just go through. But
But I thought it's a reverse of the original Batman. You know, the Michael Keaton / Tim Burton Batmans, where he used the guns solely to go through, and that was even absurd because he made a big square.
yeah,
You know, where like the guns can actually, you know, have
They're moving?
they had rotaries on it to move them. But it was just I thought that was just like a weird moment where you switch it.
yeah.
Yeah, and so then we get, you know, and of course we even skipped it. The whole movie starts out with the death of the Wayne parents again.
Yeah, I remember I heard that this weekend,
Yeah,
and it was apparently more than just once that you see this go on.
yes, and it
it's
takes
all
forever. It's
slow
all
motion.
slow mo, and
Like,
it's all to get to the point
It's
where
funny because it's basically like what Chris was saying. It's going to be 20 minutes long for something that should have been like 5 minutes.
yeah.
right, and it's to get to the whole point of Thomas Wayne saying Martha,
Just to hear the name.
just to hear the name Martha.
That was the other thing. Oh, both their moms are named Martha.
Yes,
That's significant.
as soon as they said Martha Wayne, you know, I thought, oh God, there's going to be some kind of connection or something. And sure enough, the way that Lex finally gets Superman to fight Batman, even though they've already established that Clark has a problem with Batman being a vigilante. And that he believes that he needs to stop. They set it up with him, with all the conversations that he has with Perry White, which, by the way, Perry White, I swear to God, for the first 30 lines that he has, he only speaks in headlines. They're all headlines for stories.
yeah.
And it's just so annoying. Perry White got turned into such a caricature
Yeah.
that it just bugged me. Amy Adams, who's a great actress, I love her, and almost everything she's done was so annoying and pointless in this movie. Her sole purpose of being there was to motivate Superman to do things, and that's not what Lois Lane is.
No, she's a journalist, and if you're not going to use her right, then
Don't use her.
don't use her. Yeah.
You know, but yeah, so they'd already established this whole thing with, you know, Clark realizing he needs to stop the Bat. Batman needs to stop Superman because he's too powerful and and he is out of control because he does things solely to protect Lois, opposed to what would be the betterment of mankind.
They're both sort of vigilantes. I mean,
Yes.
Superman's helping. He's just perceived in a better light than.
And I
because it's
swear to
not
God,
in the shadows.
if you were to do a drinking game of how many people Superman and Batman kill in this movie, you will have to have your stomach pumped because it's ridiculous. I lost count with Batman, and you know, it's like, and to me, those two, Batman will not kill somebody mainly because of seeing his parents die. That's his main motivation. He won't kill because he saw as a child people getting killed.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's like the problem I have with the show Gotham. They've turned Jim Gordon where he's already killed 2 people in cold blood. That's not Jim Gordon.
Yeah.
Jim Gordon is the only good cop, the only honest cop on the GCPD.
Yeah.
He will follow the letter of the law. They've turned it against it. That's why this whole thing with Zack Snyder doing the same thing with Superman and Batman, you know, there's moral boundaries, lines that they've set for themselves that they will not cross as heroes, and he's completely stepped over those lines with these characters.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest complaints I have with it.
Superman killed Zod, so now he's got a thirst for blood.
That's it. Yeah, that's the
To me,
stupid-
and
Look,
and
he's
they
a fellow Kryptonite. There's no way you can't. I mean, you could still not kill him, and learn how to put him back in the Phantom
Yeah,
Zone.
but here's the thing: is
But they
with Man of Steel, and this is like part of the conversation I had with Rich, is the Man of Steel. The reason why Superman kills Zod is because he feels that there is no other way to stop him by other than killing him, and you see how it destroys Superman
Yeah.
emotionally
And
and
then he's
mentally after that.
But if he would have, but see, here's, and then this is comes to my next point. If it destroyed him as much as Ethan is saying it did, he would never kill again. He would never let somebody be in harm's way enough, or a civilian be in harm's way enough to let them die.
Look, you're gonna cry the first time. After that,
Right.
that's the problem.
Exactly.
Then you're like, I've done it once, so
Yeah.
why not?
And you know, and Lex,
Felt good cracking his neck.
Lex in this movie was just completely all over the place. You know, we kind of established it already, but you know, he wasn't the dynamic villain.
He should have played Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes.
as Lex Luthor.
Yes. And then at the very, very end of the movie, he gets thrown in prison and they shave his head for
Oh, they shave it at the end.
at the
Yeah.
very end.
Oh,
They not only do they trim it down to what yours is now, where
yeah,
there's
no,
just
it's,
you know,
it's just kind of
they completely shave it
that's
bald.
what Lex Luthor is. It's,
Yeah.
he
Sure.
doesn't have a buzz cut.
But
It's
the thing is,
completely
he's in.
Yeah.
My thing was he's in prison, not the military. In prison, they usually don't cut your hair off.
No, but they're just they do it because that's what Lex is supposed to. look
I
like,
understand
so
it, and they did it just because they got to the end of it and went, "Oh shit, he's still got hair."
They should have made a fat Luthor.
What they should have done was when he was on the Kryptonian ship, and he's messing with creating Doomsday, that he loses his hair because
So
of
close to the kryptonite.
yes, because of what's going on around him and the environment,
Yeah.
and they could have had it organically happen instead of having it where they just shave his head. You know, and the whole Doomsday thing. Oh, for the love of God, Doomsday.
Well, first off, let's say this whole ending was a shit show. The problem with it is that this movie, the one thing everybody was waiting for is to see the fight between Superman and Batman.
You mean because the movie's called Batman v Superman?
Yes.
Okay.
But that's the thing, is that everybody was like, oh, we're going to finally see a fight between Superman and Batman, and how's that going to end, blah, blah, blah.
Everybody's expecting The
That's why
Dark
they
Knight
never should've-
Returns.
Yeah,
They
the
should have
fight.
never named this movie Batman v Superman. Though.
Yeah.
They should have set it up where they had this be a Batman movie, and while Batman is going through his movie, do kind of like a Marvel thing where he's like on the Bat computer or something, and he sees the events of what happened in Metropolis with Zod and Superman, and then maybe a couple other things that are news things. So he's starting to piece things together that maybe he's not the best person, or maybe he could be. He's a good guy and he's out of his heart, but what happens if? And then, so you set that up in this Batman movie that's going on with whatever villain you want to have. Then in the next Superman movie, you have Clark seeing things about the Batman and things that happening within as like a B line for the a B storyline. Then the next movie after that is Batman versus Superman. And take your time with it, and then, instead of trying to rush to catch up to Marvel with a Justice League movie, take your time and establish it.
Yeah, but you're also still only establishing two characters.
But you can have Wonder Woman and other things
Yeah.
going on, and have those other movies still to establish your universe even bigger. But have the Batman versus Superman be the B story of these other two films.
Well, the Batman and versus Superman should have been the story that's essentially in the Justice League movie. It's them coming together and saying, hey, we have a greater threat and we need to join each other. Let's grab these other guys too and let's form the Justice League.
Look, you can't
I could
have
see a little spat like that. Yeah.
you can't have Civil War in Marvel without having a couple Avengers movies and setting up a universe with Tony and Steve, either
Well, yeah,
friends
you
or
have tension in
tension.
both of those movies.
right.
So
But so
But going back to my point is, with the whole, like, what these fans were waiting for in this movie, literally when Batman and Superman finally fight,
yeah,
it's literally like a 5-minute fight that ends very poorly. And
Well, you
the
got
reason
to
why that they
establish
stop-
you got to establish why they're fighting in the first place. You know, after they've established this whole thing where Clark is needing to stop the Bat and Batman is needing to stop Superman, it comes down to Lex Luthor kidnapping Martha Kent to force Superman to fight Batman. So he flies across the bay from Metropolis to Gotham.
which they're that close. To
Yes,
each
I
other.
said
Yeah.
across the bay.
Yeah.
Because in the established DC universe, Metropolis and Gotham are nowhere near each other.
It's the new DC Cinematic Universe.
Yes, let's put it this way: Lex Luthor can stand on the top of Luthor Corps and see the bat signal.
Yeah, that's stupid.
It's so stupid. I get
Keystone
for
and Central are the only ones.
Yes.
Those are the ones that should be the Twin Cities.
yes. So Lex says you better go over there. You have you have an hour. Oh, we wasted 30 minutes standing up here on top of the roof for me explaining that you need to go fight Batman because I have your mommy and we're going to burn her. So he starts to get over there to Batman to fight him, and we skipped it, but Batman had stolen the kryptonite and turned it into
A spear.
a spear and also into a grenade, a aerosol spray or aerosol grenade.
Yeah.
And so and then he gets into his bat / Hulkbuster armor, which I know that Batman has his own armor and everything, and we've seen it in the trailer. And
Which,
everything
by
like
the
that.
way, this is another thing that bugged me: is why was Alfred the one that built that suit?
Well, if you notice, Alfred built everything. He
Yeah.
was the mechanic of the car. He was building the suits. He was the one that was redoing the cowl. He
That's
was the
the
one
thing,
that
is,
was.
like, Batman is the one who designs all his stuff, designed everything.
No, he's not.
No,
No. Who designs Batman stuff?
Should be Lucius.
Should be Lucius Fox.
okay.
Batman tweaks stuff, and he has that ability. But the one that does the R&D for the Batman stuff is Lucius Fox.
Okay.
So, but you see
Well, that's
Batman.
according to the Nolan universe. I can't remember.
But even
That's the
even in
comic
even in
universe.
the comic universe, even in the cartoon universe, Lucius does most of that stuff. He's the one who builds most of it. But I mean, Batman does do some of it.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the Nolan universe, Alfred and Batman build the cowl and everything in the first Batman Begins.
Yeah.
But when you get to this, Batman does do the scientific stuff with the kryptonite. So now he has a couple grenades and he has a spear, with a pure piece of kryptonite on the end. Which, by the way, kryptonite was used to power the engines of the Kryptonian ship. That's how they explained why kryptonite is on Earth.
Okay.
Yeah. So we get to the point where Superman gets to Batman.
Which that doesn't make sense either, because isn't kryptonite radioactive bits of Krypton?
It's
So
supposed
why
to.
would it be on the
supposed
ship
to,
by
yeah.
now, powering it?
It was supposed to be part of the Kryptonian, or the Kryptonian
I don't-
core.
Yeah.
That when the
they never
planet exploded,
established
it was
any of this in this universe. so-
right. That's the other problem is they've never established any of this, and then all of a sudden they said, "Wait, we need to have kryptonite." You know what? It was what drove the engines.
Yeah.
Okay, so you finally Batman lured Superman to this certain spot, and Superman's trying to say, Bruce, I need your help and all this stuff, but Bruce doesn't hear him or doesn't care and starts fighting, and they have this quick fight where finally Batman releases one of his grenades. Superman breathes it in for the longest time, and it's only a couple of minutes where, to me, if he would have breathed it in and it was inside of his lungs, it should have weakened him for more than just a couple of minutes.
Oh yeah.
It should have weakened him for
It
until the
weakens
sun
him
come
enough.
up.
It's like from the Dark Knight Rises, where Green Arrow shoots him with the kryptonite arrow, or like the mist from the arrow like explodes in his face. It's like that. It just gives him enough time where Batman is able to have a fist fight with him for
Right.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
So they have this fist fight and everything, and then it's not until and then Batman goes to do the spear, and then Lois knocks it away or something.
No, Batman is standing over Superman with his foot on his throat with the spear about to stab him, and
That's right.
he's trying to say, like, I think he
Save
keeps saying,
Martha. Save Martha. And then
save Martha, and he keeps saying, "What are you saying?
why are you saying that name? Why are you saying? How do
And
you
then-
know that name? Why are you saying that
And then
name?
Lois just kind of pops her head in. Oh, that's his mom's name.
So then Batman pulls the thing away and throws it down, the spear, throws it down,
And as soon as that happened, I turned to Rich and I was like, "Did we just become best friends?"
and the only thing I
That's
could
exactly
think,
what it felt like.
That's stupid.
the only thing I could think of was Martha, Martha, Martha.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh my God, that's how they stopped the bite. So, then they have to team up to go. Bruce goes to save Martha, and which goes into a whole nother thing. But before we get into that, I was telling Ethan this. They could have done this so much better. Not have the moms be the beginning and the end of this fight. If they would have had it where they'd already established Clark needing to stop the Bat, Superman needing to stop the Bat, and Bat needing to stop Superman, that's what starts the fight. And you get to the point where Batman is holding the spear over top of Superman, and Superman says, "Do it. If you think I'm this monster that you think I am, kill me." And he gets ready to kill him. But if Batman kills Superman, he's going against his moral fiber of killing people, and he can't kill him because it's his.
But at this point, has he already killed somebody though?
No,
Oh, he hasn't killed any
Well,
civilians.
that's what,
by
that's
no,
what
well,
we're trying
well,
to say.
but he hasn't. The people he's killed, it's just been like
Well,
collateral damage.
Well, not
and-
even that. If Batman stayed true to Batman,
Right, if they stay true to not Batman not killing and everything like
Yeah.
that,
No, I know that.
and he's standing over top of Superman with this spear, and Superman's telling him, "Just do it. If you think I'm this person that you think I am," and he actually sacrifices. He's saying he's sacrificing himself basically to prove his innocence, and Batman can't go against his beliefs. He throws it away, and then
they get like a mutual respect for
Right.
each other
Yeah.
and team up.
it would be better for the overall story and for the lineage that these two characters have.
I'd still probably hate it. So
But
yeah,
if
no,
you
I
if
know.
you do it right, and I'm not just you'd have to have the point where Batman says, "Look, Batman has to basically confront him, saying, "Look, you are so powerful. We need to have, as a human race, we need to have some reassurance." And then he says to him, "Then don't throw away the spear, or something. Keep the spear in case I do."
yeah.
And basically, what Superman has said to him in the past, Bruce has had contingency plans,
Yeah.
but Clark and Superman have always known he's had those plans.
Yeah.
And encouraged him to have it.
Yeah.
And if he does the same thing at the end of this to end the fight, it makes more sense than because our mommies have the same name.
Well, yeah.
So then, because they Bruce then goes off to save Martha, which gets shot up in his armor, in his regular bat suit. He's no longer in the armor. He's in his regular Batman costume. Gets shot 6 ways to Sunday,
He gets shot in the head, shot in the chest, shot in the cape,
multiple times in the cowl.
bulletproof. Everything's bulletproof. Then he gets stabbed in the shoulder, and the knife goes through his suit and stabs him in the shoulder, which I don't understand.
Like
What's the
we're
point of the
talking.
armor then if it's all pretty much bulletproof and all that crap.
Right.
I mean, granted, you're getting punched by a god basically, but
Well, but that was when he was in the actual armor.
yeah.
Now he's just in the basic Batman suit.
Yeah.
And there's a guy at close range. I mean, like the gun is literally inches away from his cowl as he's firing, and they're running, several times, and it doesn't go through. But another guy stabs him in the shoulder. At least in Batman, in the Dark Knight, they establish that Lucius establishes that this armor will stop bullets, but there's
But
places
there's
where
weak
knives
spots.
there's weak
openings.
spots where
I'm
knives
sure
go
there's
through.
a weak. It
This costume you
could
don't
be
see any.
implied.
But it's all the same. Where Batman, with the
Yeah.
costume from The Dark Knight and Batman Begins, it's like
Yeah,
pieces
Yeah.
with like chainmail or whatever underneath.
Yeah.
This is all the same type of material all the way around.
Yeah.
So he gets stabbed, then saves Martha as the guy has a flamethrower, and he shoots. He throws a batarang into the
he shoots the tank
shoots the tank, right?
and blows it. It blows up, but he covers Martha up with his cape, and
neither one
everything-
are hurt.
Everything's fine.
So his costume is flame retardant and bulletproof, but can't stop a knife.
Yep.
I know it's a little thing to nitpick at, but it's still
it's a smaller point with a knife than
Right.
a bullet. So
but it's
no, I know.
So as this is happening, Clark goes off to
Bang Lois.
to the Kryptonian ship that has lightning and stuff going all around it because Doomsday is being created. And he creates
It's being birthed.
right. So basically, what happens is Lex gets into the ship, brings in the body of Zod after he's kind of learned some of the Kryptonian stuff and taken command of the ship through basically a Jarvis type computer. And then he's in this puddle of water with these weird, like, spiny things going through it. And he says that, and they're like, well, to create an abomination has been forbidden by the council and of Krypton. And Lex goes, well, do you see the council around here?
Was this playback? Because why is anybody still alive on that?
Well,
No,
that's the
he's
thing,
talking to the computer.
It's a record.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's basically saying that the deformities are banned by being made by the council, and he's like, well, where is the council now?
Do you see the
Or
council
do you
around
see
here?
the council? And the computer's like, well, no, they're not alive. And so he's like, well, then go ahead and make it. Okay.
So he cuts his hand
Yeah.
and puts his blood in with Zod into this big pool of birthing liquid.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, these unseen tentacles start coming around it and wrapping themselves around it, and you see these like I guess they're like you can't tell if they're mechanical or not, but they're crawling, they're swimming through the water and they look like octopuses, and they all go around him.
It basically grabs Zod and like start lifting him up so they can start working on him or whatever.
So then at this point now when Superman comes, Zod or the now Doomsday gets released and
Now Lex also introduced Superman. This is your Doomsday.
And I was like, oh my God, no.
Yeah.
So Doomsday obviously comes out. They're fighting and stuff, and he's fighting against Superman and Batman and everything. And then Superman takes him up into space.
And the government
nukes him.
Yeah.
So they nuke Doomsday, and by the collateral damage, Superman is now stuck in space as he's basically losing all the mass in his body. You can see the outline of his bones, so he's basically dying.
And Doomsday falls to Earth and sheds his layer of skin, so now he starts getting
Now he has the
the
spikes.
bone on spikes of the armor.
Yeah.
It still doesn't look like Doomsday from the comic.
Still?
No.
It still looks like a Ninja Turtle with
Yeah,
spikes.
they don't have the mohawk hair that he had. It's literally, if you think of the Ninja Turtle from the new movies, the head looks exactly the same.
No, yeah, I saw that.
So then he starts battling Batman and Wonder Woman, who shows up. And
But Wonder Woman gets introduced in that scene where I told you it was like the only comic relief in the movie.
Yeah, they'd already established Diana in it a couple of
Yeah.
times at the party and two other times.
Yeah.
But this is the first time you really see Wonder Woman, other than a still picture from.
This is her
1918.
in the Wonder Woman armor and the shield. And
It's literally
sword.
the scene. When you see the first time you see Wonder Woman,
In the trailer.
it's the trailer.
Yeah.
It's the exact same, and almost everything that you saw on the trailer is as far as Wonder Woman is in the movie.
Yeah. No, that's what I figured.
And so they're battling, and then Batman and Wonder Woman are together. They're battling, and then Superman comes down, and all three of them stand
Well,
there.
the sun comes around the Earth,
Yeah.
and Superman regains his energy basically and comes back down.
And then
Heals himself like Wolverine.
yeah, and then you have exactly. Then you have the Trinity shot, and then you have the where is she with you? Well, I thought she was with you, even though Batman
Yeah,
already has
I
been
hate
fighting with her.
I hate that line. I hate seeing it in the trailer. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is stupid.
But he'd already
not
been
funny.
battling with her.
It was an attempt at some comic relief.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and the bad thing was, the other thing about it was, Diana / Wonder Woman had never been around Clark or Superman. The only interaction she'd ever had was with Batman. So that whole line and that whole thing of let's be cute with this, it's a little joke, ha ha ha, didn't work because of that.
Yeah.
And it didn't work just
Well,
because it was bad anyways.
granted, she was at the party. Clark was at the party. She must have already known, like, he was Superman or something to that effect, you know.
Yes.
So, there's
Well-
the play on that.
Not necessarily.
Right.
I mean, how would they necessarily know she's Wonder Woman?
Well,
I mean,
you have
just
to
like
assume.
Superman. You don't know. We as viewers know it, but he has an S curl and he lost his glasses. So
Well, Batman or Bruce does find out she's Wonder Woman because
He sees the
it's
picture.
she's one of the files that Lex has
Yeah.
accumulated,
yeah,
and he confronts her about it, and so he already knows who she is when they get together and they're having this fight. So then they're battling Doomsday and everything, and Bruce finally releases. They can't figure out how they're going to do it other than they remember that Bruce has the spear, and
they keep hitting him, and it's just the energy of whatever they're shooting Doomsday with is
right. He's
feeding
absorbing
him.
energy.
He's
yeah.
absorbing it, and it's fueling him. And so basically, they say that the only way that we're going to kill him is get the spear. So Superman,
Superman's the one who gets the spear,
basically.
which
you fly to the Batcave and grab it.
no, he
something?
flies
No, it's
to
in-
the pool of water that Lois threw it in after Batman and Superman made
Because
out.
she was trying to get it away from Superman.
Yeah.
Oh, we forgot the fact that in the middle of the fight, when Lois goes to get, after they mentioned the spear, Lois goes to get it, and then the building collapses on top of her, so she's trapped there. So in the middle of fighting Doomsday, Superman hears this scratching noise.
No, he hears her heartbeat.
Was it her heartbeat?
Yeah. He hears her heartbeat, and it's like, dun, 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 dun. And it starts slowing down. Dun, dun. And then, like, as he's going towards her, it starts
He flies
slowing
to go
down.
get her. But it's great because they have the scene where he gets her out of the water, and there's this like half a second where he's holding her, and it reminds me exactly of the original Superman when Superman saves Lois from the car that fills up with dirt and she's dead.
Yeah.
And at that moment, there was a split second I thought, is he going to fly around the earth and spin it backwards? But of course she does and starts coughing up the water,
Yeah.
and he grabs the spear.
Well, he dives into the water, grabs the spear, and is basically lying face down in the water now because he's holding the
that's right. I
kryptonite.
forgot about that.
So Lois has to pull him out of the pool, throw the spear all the way to the other side of the building so that he can regain his energy.
To pick up the spear,
Yeah, so then now he flies, picks up the spear, and
holding
flies,
it in front of him. So it's
flies
like
quite a distance, might I add you, because it definitely took him a lot longer to fly from when he grabbed that spear
yes.
into Doomsday. Basically, yeah, so he's flying it to run it through Doomsday's heart.
Yeah.
And so it
Wait,
took longer.
but after they had Batman had used his gas to cause, Doomsday inhaled it like Superman did, and then they cut off his arm, so this starts growing this tentacle thing, and then you see the lasso.
Yeah, another
you
spike
see,
starts growing out
yeah.
of his hand. Instead of like another hand, it's one of the bone spikes.
One of the greatest things was you do get to see the lasso of truth.
Yeah.
So you see, not right now. You see, you get to see Doomsday in the lasso.
Yeah.
As
the problem is it only works.
Correct.
There's
But
no point to that.
That's right. There was no
Besides just
point
being
to
a
it.
lasso.
And that's exactly
Super
what they
strong
use in it.
lasso.
And she doesn't have bracelets; she has gauntlets. So
Well,
which they've changed
they've
because
changed that, yeah.
I mean that's changed in the comic books a few times.
70s.
Yeah. So,
Well, what
Lois
I was saying,
is holding.
hold on, because what I was saying with my point is that the fact that Superman flew into Doomsday holding the spear and not showing any effect of it really
Correct.
affecting him, whereas he dove down 2 feet into a pool to grab it and it ended up face up in
It's
the
like,
pool.
when I'm watching him fly with this, I kept expecting him to like just fall.
Yeah, no,
Like,
that's
get
what
to-
I thought. Is
Yeah.
he was gonna start like wavering down, and then
Yeah.
like we see like Batman helps him or Wonder Woman helps him. You
Yeah.
know, like it just made it very like it didn't make sense.
So he shoves the spear into Doomsday. Doomsday shoves his spiked hand into
He fists-
Spoiler.
He fists Superman.
This is the biggest spoiler for the movie. If you don't want to hear it, turn away now. This is your last chance.
All right.
Dooms,
Spoiled the movie already. So
but Doomsday shoves his spiked hand into Superman's chest as Superman is shoving the spear.
shoving his pole in.
Right, they're shoving their poles into each other,
Yep.
and Superman shoves it all the way through so that you see the kryptonite go out the other side.
Wouldn't it be more effective if you kept the kryptonite part into?
That's
think
what
so.
I thought. And Doomsday dies, and Superman dies.
Yeah.
They did the whole.
They
death
did the
of
death of Superman with Lois holding him, and you have Batman on one side and Wonder Woman on the other.
Like I was really surprised that they didn't have the cape flowing on the on the wooden stake. That
They
was-
should have
I
had
think
the
it
fly.
should've
They
done
should have
something.
had it flying on
What-
the pole, the spear.
Is the spear completely out now, though?
No,
Or is it still
Doomsday's
in
It
him?
was
laying
on him.
down.
Yeah.
Doomsday's back is down. Laying on
Yeah.
his back. The spike is the spear is still through him.
Hmm.
You could have even had it where it was just flying over top of it. Like the cape was just still blowing.
Yeah, you'd have to do it that way.
But they didn't do it.
Yeah, but
That
the
was
thing,
and that was another missed opportunity.
the
But
thing with the comic book is like there's such an intense fight between Doomsday and Superman that his suit was getting literally
Sure.
ripped
Yeah.
to
I
shreds.
get that.
And so that's why his cape was showing on there. I see that, but where you don't see that at all.
Doomsday
in
was a
this one.
complete mindless monster in this.
Yeah.
Their fight wasn't big. This should have been the second or a third Superman movie. This should have been your movie after the Justice League movie.
You shoved 2 iconic comic books
Yes.
worth of crap.
You
into one
shoved
movie.
everything into this one movie. To me, when it happened, I went, no, you did not just do that. Save that for another movie.
And then you see the dirt move.
Well, then you have the two separate ceremonies. You have the one that
For Clark Kent.
you have one for Clark Kent, one for Superman, which they used the coffin from the book for Superman.
Yeah, and I heard that, which it still doesn't make sense because when somebody dies like that, and
Yes.
you have 2 funerals for some person.
Yes.
Somebody
Put
knows
two
a
and two-
body's missing out of one of those coffins.
Put 2 and 2 together. Well,
Yes.
just put 2 and 2 together. Okay, so Superman died. Well, where's Clark Kent? Oh, he's dead. All right.
And then we get to the
But
Clark.
Clark was killed while he was covering the story.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
You know
All right.
So we have Bruce
But you
and
have no body for Clark Kent.
exactly.
So
well, you don't have the
Well,
body for Superman.
have the
you have
body
a
of
body for
Superman.
Clark Kent.
Yeah.
If you want to do it that way.
One or
well,
the other.
if you don't know,
One or the
it's-
other, there's a
it's
body.
Schrodinger's cat.
Right.
Well, no, I can see them having him still in the Superman.
Right. So,
Outfit.
but they have to have Bruce Wayne make the comment of, well, they're burying an empty casket, with that circus they're doing on the other side of the country.
Mhm.
I'm like, you don't need to tell that if you're. So then, as after they put the casket in the ground, you have Bruce standing to the back. Diana walks up to him, and they start talking about we need to get the others like you. We need to get those others like you together. They have to fight.
It was the Nick Fury moment at the end of
It
Iron
was
Man.
the Nick.
Yeah.
It's basically like, oh, I have a plan that we're going to get a bunch of people together,
The Justice.
so we're going to have to find them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you see the dirt, kind of come up.
Well, it's Lois there grieving.
Oh, yeah,
over
she-
it,
yeah,
and
she
she
has
grabs
to-
some dirt and throws it inside, and walks away. And the next shot, the very last shot of the movie, is you just see the
The
very
dirt
quick
rise.
second of the dirt just rise up a little bit.
Now we and I should say we've cut out a lot of the crap. When you had the scene when the whole Senate blows up, and Superman standing there around it is just he's just standing there and he's looking down as all of this fire and everything's around him. Nothing else is ever said about that. Nothing is ever mentioned again about the government until the very end where they're having this grand funeral for him.
Does Holly Hunt die?
Yes. Everybody in the Senate dies, and you actually see the White House or the Senate building, the House, blow up completely.
Yeah.
And it's just like it was too much. It was too big. Don't.
There was no reason for the Senate to be involved at all.
Sort of like
I mean, it
Iron
was-
Man, 2?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just imagine Iron Man standing there and the whole thing blows up around him.
Yeah. Oh,
And
I got the armor on me, and just in
And he's
time,
just
so-
standing there with distraught,
Yeah.
like I can't believe.
Well, I
this
mean,
just happened.
I mean, I can understand it for the character of Superman because he was wanting to go there to kind of explain himself, and everybody just dies around him, and he's like, "This is just what happened."
But they had no explaining or anything. All they did was introduce the one guy, and then that was it. It was like,
Yeah.
what? You could have had him in a restaurant and Superman walk in and do the exact same thing, and it'd been just as big and powerful. Because they don't mention it ever again.
Yeah.
I think Lex makes one little reference to it or something in passing, but that's it. It's just
Yeah, no, it's
I wanted this to be a good movie, and I
don't know if I want it to be a good movie because of when it was how their whole movie plan was for their whole lineup. I don't care.
And here's the bad thing is you get a lot of, and I call them DC loyalists. I mean, I love DC Comics. You read DC Comics. Ethan, that's basically, other than Walking Dead, the only comics you pick up. The only Batman is one of the only comics that I've continued with from the very beginning to the end of the New 52.
Mhm.
And I want to see Dark Knight is one of my absolute favorite movies. I love the Nolan series. I love the Tim Burton stuff. I love the old Christopher Reeve stuff. It's not like I'm Marvel movies that's it. I can't have anything else in my life. I want the DC universe to be good. I want to go to the movies.
I'd love to have them succeed.
Yeah, I want to have that battle of DC or oh man, Captain America was great, but oh my God, did you see the Batman movie or a Superman movie or Wonder Woman or whatever? I want those to be great movies, but the problem is, and I see it the same thing when we went to the DC panel, at WonderCon. DC was basically apologizing for themselves, in a way, for the New 52, which a lot of that was brought on because of Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
The studio, unlike what Marvel Disney do, the studio steps in and says, no, this needs to be like this. Zack Snyder, who I like Zack Snyder, some of his movies. I loved 300. Unlike a lot of people, I liked Sucker Punch. I even like Watchmen to a degree.
Visually, they're pretty,
They're very pretty.
but story-wise, they haven't been
I-
great. I mean, 300
Sucker
that was
Punch-
fine.
300 was fine because they also basically followed the book exactly.
Yeah.
They tried to do that with Watchmen, and they couldn't do it. And Watchmen was
Well,
one of those
they
movies
Did
everybody
do it. It was too much.
right, and everybody's always said there's no way to make Watchmen into a movie. You can't do it. If you did it into a TV series like Game of Thrones or something, you could do it because you have longer to tell those
Yeah.
stories. Sucker Punch, I like the story, but I like to have fucked up stories,
Well, at least it was original.
and it was original,
So,
and it was so
the
pretty.
The story with Sucker Punch, it could have been done well. I think it just needed more tweaking as far as like the script goes. The idea and the the overall execution of what the story would have been great.
Mhm.
It's just I think it just needed more time.
Man of Steel, I don't hate it. I don't like it, but there were a lot of things about it. I didn't like the choices for the muted colors. I thought that the product placement was way too much in your face. Superman, lacks some of the qualities that I go to see a Superman movie for. I want to see in my Superman. And I didn't get it, and got even less of it with Batman versus Superman. Batman, you can have dark. He's supposed to be dark, but he still has lines he will not cross. You can't cross these lines with these characters. And I get Zack Snyder saying, "Well, yeah, but I'm rewriting these characters. I'm telling these stories. This is how I want to be." If you're setting up a universe, a shared universe with all these characters to tell, then you have to
You have to stay true to the character.
stay true to the characters. You can tweak them some, but you have to stay true to their fundamental characteristics.
And their values and that's the
He
thing.
said he didn't want to use Grant Gustin as Barry Allen or as Flash, Barry Allen, because he's too CW, he's too fun, and they have fun going and things like that. That's not the universe he's setting up. If you left Superman and Batman, not necessarily Superman, if you left Batman,
Well, you can use whoever you want as Flash.
Batman,
He just
making
fun.
fun.
He has to be how the Flash is.
yes,
So
which is basically the Flash that we see on TV on the CW show.
I mean, hell, he's not all. He's cheery.
Yes.
He's cheerier than Arrow, but he's not all that cheery because he's very mopey sometimes.
Yes.
But I mean, he has legitimate reason to be. But
Well, they've established that, but you're right. He's not as happy-go-lucky as the Flash in the comics.
yeah,
But the Flash, even the introduction of these other superheroes through the files, the Flash, he had long hair. It didn't, it was just he had a goatee or a mustache or something. It didn't, it was horrible. The Cyborg,
he looks like Vic.
The Cyborg, I like the way they did the Cyborg. They also had a little Easter egg in there with the box.
Yeah,
And that was kind of cool.
Fine with that.
The Aquaman, his trident isn't actually a trident. It's got like 6 or 7 prongs on it.
It's a 4.
It's more, it's a fork.
Pretty much. Well, it's got the 3 main prongs,
Well,
and then a couple little ones.
he's had a trident like that though.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But I didn't. I knew that I had already seen the pictures of him, so I wasn't expecting much of a change. I can deal with
Does
that.
he ride it like a broom? Turn around.
One of the other problems I had with it is they stylized colors with each of the characters. Every time you saw Superman in Metropolis or in Kansas or anywhere else, it was very muted, like it was for Batman or like Man of Steel. Wonder Woman, it was very vibrant. When she's battling in the night and everything, it's very vibrant colors. Batman was kind of a mixture of the two. You didn't have as muted colors like you do with Superman, but it was just all over the place. And then the shaky cam thing. I'm so tired of directors using this shaky cam to explain, look, there's movement going on in the world. I get that. If a building is falling and stuff like that, I get that. Don't give me the shaky cam with them running everything because you can't focus on everything.
Yeah.
When Bruce Wayne is running at the beginning of the movie through all of the destruction going on in Metropolis, my head was hurting because of my eyes couldn't focus fast enough with it. And it drove me nuts.
Yeah.
And then with moments where you don't need it at parties and stuff like that, you still have that little shakiness. I don't want that there. There's no need for it.
Yeah.
Well, those
I get it's a
scenes-
stylized
with
thing.
those scenes, it's like the camera operator was just putting the camera over his shoulder and just recording that.
Yeah.
It's like for a big budget movie like this, why wouldn't you hire someone with a steady cam
Yeah.
to do these kind of
If you're walking
standing
through the
scenes,
crowd
you
and
know?
everything, use the Steadicam where you don't have that.
Which, they could have. It's just maybe they just didn't have a good enough operator or what. But,
or it's just a stylized choice.
you know.
Because you get that. It's supposed to make it
Action
feel
s-
more
action
realistic.
scene. That's stupid.
It's stupid to me.
Action scenes should be the only ones.
Yeah. I mean, unless they're trying to do it. Well, we need that for the D-Box, because the D-Box has to feel the movement.
Well, guess what? We
If you're
shouldn't,
shooting a movie for just that
yeah, that's
format,
dumb.
it's stupid. It's just like when you shoot a movie just you're doing this stuff like the TMNT where they're doing it where they're going in. We're shooting it. We know we got to do 3D, so we got to do all of the 3D tropes. You got to have the thing coming at you. The character's got to do something.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. Just tell your story and allow your story to be good. And if it's going to have 3D stuff, great. It'll come organically. Then that's my biggest problem with a lot of these movies, and where with a lot of the Marvel stuff, it feels organic. Where
Organic?
organic. I know there's no T. There's Winter Soldier felt very organic. Iron Man 3 felt very pushed. Iron Man 3 felt like it was, hey, we can sell all of these extra Iron Man irons
Oh yeah.
or suits. Suits. Let's throw them in armors.
I think Sideshow got them.
I think so too, because Sideshow's putting out every single one of them. Either that or Sideshow went, oh, we can make a lot of money from this movie. But yeah, I'm very, very disappointed. And as the weekend's gone on since I've seen it, I've gotten even more disappointed with it. Whereas a lot of movies, I can say, I like that. I can, because I like this part of it, I can deal with this other. You know, as much as and this is where it goes out to a lot of the DC loyalists that wanted to see Batman and Superman and can forgive all this stuff because they got to see Batman and Superman together, or even the Trinity together. Even a Star Wars movie. As much as I loved Force Awakens, there's a lot of problems with it. There's a whole lot of problems with it. Some things I can forgive because I enjoyed some of the other things about it. But there's things about it I can't forgive. This movie, I'm trying desperately to find the things that I liked to forgive the other stuff, and I can't.
Even before reading all the reviews for me, I was going in knowing I'm not going to like this movie.
Yeah.
So why bother watching it? So.
But, I mean,
I had no hope for it.
Ethan, somebody that's a major Zack Snyder fan, that likes his movies, you know, the majority of them for the best part. How did you feel about this movie?
Well, I think like you and like Mikey is just very disappointing.
See, I won't be disappointed because
Well,
I
yeah,
already
it-
know.
Well, I mean,
But
you,
it's
you
scary.
were
That's
also
to it.
disappointed in the fact that you know how bad this movie was that you didn't even want to go see it.
But that's not disappointment. I'm just like,
As much as I love these
I
actors
don't
playing
have
these
any disappointment
characters,
on it.
it scares me for the Justice League movie.
I'm probably not going to go see that. If I might go see this movie when it goes to the $3 theater.
Right.
Might.
Or
It's if
catch
I-
a
it's if I-
bootleg.
it's if I- no, I'm not going to bootleg.
Yeah.
But
Well, no, that's even. I was thinking,
or until it gets on the screen.
Yeah.
I might not even see it until after I see Wonder Woman, because that I'm hoping for with the amount of time that she was on here, that it was not a lot, but everybody liked it, mainly because this is the first time we see Wonder Woman on the big screen.
Right.
That's not animated, if
Yes.
anything. So
Gal
That-
Gadot,
and
I
it's a
thought was
time-
brilliant.
It's a period piece too, or at least it spans different periods. So
Yes.
I'm sort of looking forward to that more so.
I thought she did it actually made me look forward to the Wonder Woman movie. I guess that would be my one shining spot in this.
Yeah.
And I was glad that Ben Affleck was really good for what he had to work with.
I might skip Justice League itself.
So, okay, we do this every once in a while, and we're going to wrap things up now. I'll do it with you, Ethan, instead of Mikey, because unfortunately Mikey didn't see it, and then, he can't give a grade on it. Or what would you give this movie as far as a 1 out of 5?
1 out of 5.
Yeah, 5 being the best.
Probably like a 2.
Break that into 20%.
Yeah.
Go 1 through 10. How about that? So you can have at least a little bit lower.
Well, okay. Well, 1 through 10.
1 through 10 would probably still be around the same, like 2 or 3.
Wow, so that makes it even lower. But okay, well, if you were going to do A through an A
only
through an
40.
F, I don't know if that's even a better way to grade it. A
But
D minus or D?
Like a D.
Okay, how many
Yeah.
stars? Out
So, out of 5 stars, what would you give it?
1.
That's even lower than a 2 out of 5.
How many thumbs up?
None.
There we go.
So yeah,
That's more accurate because
Yeah.
that's zilch.
I would say a 1.5 to a 2, or 1 star. Yeah.
Like this movie, you guys know it because I talked about it on the podcast before. I was so excited to see this movie for the same reason. First time you're going to see Batman and Superman on the screen is something to get really excited about. And it's just after seeing this, I was so disappointed. with
So
the
here,
turnout.
in wrapping this thing up, I want to invite any DC fans to put it up on Facebook, on Twitter, on our iTunes. What you think? Are we completely batshit crazy? And this movie was great. Please let us know. But and give us the reasons why you support this movie. And so, in that, I will say, check us out on Facebook.com/Nerdables, or you leave us a message on Twitter @NerdablesShow. leave it on their Facebook page. There's links to either forums and to our iTunes where you can leave messages. So it's nerdables.com. Let us know what you think of this movie, and we will see you next time when we have everybody back in full strength and we talk about WonderCon. Yeah, see you next time.